Hello everybody and welcome to the Football Podcast, week 4 of the Premiership, whatever it is nowadays. I think it's still a football league, isn't it? As far as I'm aware.
Yeah, it's still a league.
Allegedly. Grand. Jonathan Neal joining you for this episode as we talk about some, I think there was some important matches happening this weekend. I don't know if anyone caught it or anything. We're back after the international break, back after the transfer window. The dust has effectively settled on both of those things. And now we're back to the delightful tedium of talking about football on a weekly basis.
Woo!
Indeed. So
actually, bi-weekly basis with the Champions League now kicking off.
That is very true. So look forward to that, everybody. So with that being said, let's talk about this match I found. Actually, I don't know if you saw it, Neil, over the weekend. It was kind of like this. It's a very kind of hipsterish choice, really. But I want to talk about Manchester United versus Manchester City, which is...
Yeah, you see, what was surprising, I didn't even realise Manchester had two teams.
Right. I didn't even know they had two teams at all. I thought they just were like one of those towns that had no footballing history at all. But that's news for me.
With two managers that are totally unremarkable as well. Like nobody knows who these people are,
and nobody has heard of their footballers. They're all complete unknowns.
Unknowns.
Yeah, and nobody knows where they live either. They don't know where the stadiums are or what colour they are. Okay, I think we've got.
Right, let's drop the pretense.
Yeah, we've gone 2 minutes of being facetious now. That's our minimal requirement for this podcast. So let's get right to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take that now.
Absolutely, it's part of my contract. So it has been its first blood between Guardiola and Mourinho, which is, I think, the fight that everybody's been expecting. In fact, I think everyone has been hyping it up so much you think it was in a fucking UFC ring. But there you go.
Oh, it was fucking unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'm like, for what is a fourth match of the season.
Yeah.
Fifth match? Fourth or fifth?
Fourth match.
Fourth match. Like,
yeah.
People were like, oh, this could decide the end of the league. I was like, shut the fuck up.
It really doesn't. Like, it's not inconsequential, but I like to think it's a indicator, at least. Like, it's not even dictating where the league can go, because, like I said, there's a long way to go. But let's give the match for what it's due. This was a win for Manchester City, and
it was a very good match. Now, I will admit, it was. Yeah. I actually did enjoy it far more than I ever thought I would.
I enjoyed it too. Like it was just
and that's not just because Jose Mourinho lost.
Well, I enjoy any moment that Mourinho loses in football or in life, but no, truthfully, this was a cracking match actually, and it's like what Rachel says sometimes. You see a match on paper and you think it's going to be so good, and it somehow disappoints you. This wasn't the case. Like this match went hell for leather. Both sides really going for it, and you have to commend them for it. But I think it's fair to say Man City looked the better out of the two so far. If we're going
shit.
Yeah.
By far, yeah. I mean, it was 2-1, but Christ, if City still had Aguero, it would have been maybe about. I reckon it would have been about 4-1.
Yeah. I mean, this is...
to be honest with you, that one was only from a fucking howler of a goalkeeping mistake.
Oh, we'll get to that, don't worry.
We'll get to that, yes.
Oh, yes, we're going to have a very bravo section for that Joe Hart replacement. But
one of the things you were saying there about indicators, and I think one of the surprising things this indicated for me was just how well both Mourinho and Guardiola have imposed themselves on the team. Like, United are playing like a Mourinho team, you know? It's actually quite incredible, you know? Tall, powerful players.
Yep.
Big centre forward, shitloads of crosses, no fucking around at the back.
Yeah.
Guardiola really has City playing like his way, with lots of technical players. I think I was mentioning it the other day, switching between two different formations regarding on whether they're defending or attacking, as opposed to just, you know, people just running forward when attacking. track it back when defending.
Yeah.
And a goalkeeper who really doesn't like to get his hands dirty.
Yes, indeed.
So
yeah, no, and I think it's fair to say, even from the outset, it does look like City has warmed to it more than United have, which is weird in a sense because tactically wise, you think United and Mourinho were a match made in heaven, because it is the type of win by any means that Ferguson would have had for years. But I think it's also kind of after having a squad that was more or less altered by the likes of Moyes and Van Gaal, it does take a while to get out of that very negative tactics, which is, again, funny when we're talking about Jose Mourinho because his tactics are nothing but negative,
Yeah, that's the funny thing, but like I said just there, is like there's no sense of a Van Gaal team left here.
No.
I think Jose has been very, very ruthless in stamping out whatever Van Gaal taint is left there.
Yeah.
Bar Fellaini, for some reason.
Well, that's the weirdest thing. Is Fellaini actually has a role in the Mourinho team, which is so weird because when Mourinho was initially appointed, you were looking at Fellaini to be the first out the door. And yet it's lads like Schweinsteiger, who has been just grossly disrespected by him. Phil Jones.
He's been written off, didn't I tell you? They've actually already financially written him off as a £6.7 million loss.
And even calling him a loss is such an insult to the player that he is. Like, it's such an insult.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
Yeah, look, it's a different issue with United. They're looking. I could spend all night on how miserable United can be with certain players, but that's a different story. Let's stick to the football.
Yeah.
I mean, truthfully, City I think had a great game all round. As you said, Neil, this could have been any scoreline for City in the first half. I think it was the first time actually I could actually pinpoint that the United defence were threatened and they fell apart. Because they had so many things to keep track on, like De Bruyne, Sterling was obviously a threat. Iheanacho had a great game as well, filling in for Aguero, and this is a big game for De Bruyne, and he really stepped up because, in a sense, Sterling was kind of stealing his thunder, for being the most transformed player under Guardiola, when really De Bruyne was kind of there, but not really having an impact. And now this is his match to really show off, and he did do that. He did exactly that. Him and Iheanacho, I think, linked up superbly.
Yeah, well, De Bruyne did it at the start of the season as well. I mean, he's slowly becoming that kind of midfield, not general, because he's not that kind of an imposing character.
Yeah.
But it's just, he just generally runs the play by simply being a level or two ahead of everybody else, and they're like, fuck, I need to get in there. I mean, he's outshining David Silva, which is not fucking easy.
No, absolutely not.
And it was funny afterwards. It was hilarious. I think I was reading a column by Ken Early, and he mentioned a comment De Bruyne said after the match, saying that both teams showed what their skill set is. They played very powerful, a lot of long balls. They're much better in the air. Yeah. And I go, ooh, that would sting.
Yeah.
United haven't, broken world transfer records to become essentially Stoke 2.0.
Well, let's talk about that now, actually. You're talking about transfer fees. And one player that was so remarkably anonymous was Pogba. And maybe this is just a thing that happens to players with large price fees, but they just don't. Obviously, they're not going to live up to the expectations because transfer fees are so inflated. But Pogba just doesn't seem to fit so far. He doesn't seem to have a role in the United squad so far. Maybe that's just me, but he seems to be a square peg at the moment, or at least he.
Well, funnily enough, actually, you should mention that. I actually totally agree with you. And I was kind of looking for words prior to this podcast to describe fucking what it is I was thinking about Pogba. And then in that very same column, uh, they mentioned a quote from Pogba saying that his ambition was to create something, to create the new midfielder. And when they asked him to describe what that midfielder of the future would fucking do, he goes, everything. He can defend, he can win the ball, he can play, he can pass, he can score. Now, doesn't that sound like the box to box
Yeah, that sounds
all
like
rounder
yeah. It sounds
that
like
went out of style when midfielders separated out into defensive midfielders and attacking midfielders?
yeah. Like what you're trying to say, you're trying to describe fucking James Milner or Joe Allen there, and there are people that you like
Exactly,
actively
yeah.
take the piss out of. I was like,
And
that's
that's the
your
thing.
yeah.
Like his, I think the problem is that he's never had to make up his mind about what kind of player he really is.
Yeah.
You know, he's good at everything. He needs to decide what he's the best at. If he wants to be a central midfielder, he can either direct the play like the general, which I believe he can be. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
Or he can be that marauder who runs forward and scores shitloads of goals.
Well, that's the thing. You see, I mean, if we go in depth in what Pogba's role in the United squad is, you mentioned there like if we're going by like his blueprint of being a box to box midfielder, in theory, he's supposed to be a box to box midfielder. He's playing in the midfield that's effectively right now with Fellaini, who is an out and out defensive midfielder. Like he's not really there to like maraud up front. He will get up for set pieces because he's a big lumbering jackass, but that's a different story. Then you have lads like say Herrera who can come in and he is an actual like midfield runner. He's so quick and he has pace. You have Lingard who can do the same job. You have Mata who's a playmaker. He can do all those kind of like cheeky creative passes that Pogba might need to do. And then you have Mkhitaryan who is again another creative playmaker. So again, it begs the question: what's Pogba's role in the United squad, and more specifically, is he a Mourinho player?
I don't think so, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that Mourinho seemed one of the things I've noticed from watching United, which hasn't been often this season. I have to admit, but
right.
It seems like he set his team up to actually bypass the midfield.
Yeah, that's
with the long balls. So I'm like, you've spent 95 million on one of the best midfielders on the planet, and you're just gonna sling long balls over his fucking head.
That's the saying. Like the fullbacks have been so much more effective for United, and this in comparison to like how they used to play under Van Gaal. Van Gaal always had his stuff very central. You know, he almost overused the midfield to an extent. And
it was so crowded.
Yeah, definitely. And now you have lads like Valencia and Shaw have been like prevalent team players, like you said, Neil, because Mourinho is using those players a lot more for crosses. Is it because he's trying to use Zlatan's strengths rather than using Pogba's strengths?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Because Zlatan can't do anything other than basically be that big centre forward. He can't run anymore.
Yeah.
You know, he can't drift. I mean, that's the reason why PSG got rid of him. He just can't. He can't run anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so if he doesn't play to Zlatan's strength, he's an empty jersey. There's no point playing. Like you're not going to sling it cross after cross after cross, or roll through balls straight to his feet, which is a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Then there's no point in having him there because he's not going to ghost in and out. He's not going to stretch a defence. He's going to stand there, bully his way in, and head home a goal.
Yeah, and at least that aspect of like United's team is working fine because with Zlatan, he has someone else doing the busy work for him. You can either have a choice of Rooney or Rashford that do all the high pressing stuff with him, and all he has to do is convert. That part, I think, is working fine. Obviously, you got a goal out of it, which we'll get to momentarily. But again, it's that kind of issue of, are you sacrificing Pogba to make Zlatan the team more of a Zlatan team, or do you now have to go back the way and say, okay, we have to let Pogba be a part of the team, and more specifically, not just Pogba, but Mkhitaryan has been completely useless since he started at United. He has been, and it's tragic for me considering how good he was at Borussia Dortmund, and truthfully, his role isn't that different. You know, if it would be different if he was being used at United differently, like in a deep lying role. He's not. He is in an advanced position like what Mata and Herrera would be. He's not being asked to defend as such. Maybe that's why Mourinho doesn't use him.
Pretty much. I mean, it's really weird what United are doing to all their German players.
It's right. It's just like, oh, you played in the Bundesliga, haha, fuck off, out.
Oh, you won a World Cup, fuck off.
Oh, I can't even pronounce your name. Get out.
That's it. I mean, like, with regards to Mkhitaryan, I have fucking no idea what's going on there.
He looks very unfit. He looks very, very unfit. Like he's like, I know he missed the preseason out of injury anyway, but just generally he looks kind of like he looks.
He does look like he's been on like a chocolate eclair diet.
Yeah, he's been on the.
Maybe he's been talking too much to Shaw.
Yeah, I was about to say, God damn it, Neil. I was making that joke, but so yeah, that's more about United generally. City, elephant in the room. Claudio Bravo. Why the fuck is he a thing?
Because he plays the way Pep wants him to play.
So he plays the way that Pep wants him to play. And, okay, so we'll build up the stats in a minute, but Claudio Bravo in that game, I think, misplaced a lot more passes than Hart or Caballero has, generally.
But I say he made a lot more than.
Oh, I'd say he made a lot more chances for United, absolutely. That's a definite. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I slag off Mignolet for having no aerial presence sometimes at set pieces. And this is Claudio Bravo, who comes in as like the goalkeeper that's, you know, part of the best club in Europe, which is Barcelona, and is just not unable to deal with one simple cross, and is not able to talk to John Stones, who is he's a clever defender by himself. He's still quite raw, but he knows how to get out of the way if someone shouts at him. Because for fuck's sake, he was spent his last few years talking to Tim Howard, who has goddamn Tourette's. So he's able to communicate, but Bravo didn't. And for me, that's a fundamental mistake for a goalkeeper like that. To not even shout, not even to say something to your defenders.
Well, yeah, absolutely. There's also a lack of familiarity there as well.
Yeah.
Tossing a new keeper who I think he'd only come in on the Thursday.
Yeah, it was about that because they will come back from internationals.
International duties,
So,
yeah, I
would Caballero been a worse choice though? That's the thing. Like, I would have thought he would be better, more like level-headed choice, at least just to have for the first game. But then again, this is the Manchester derby. You need big characters and all that. But you know, Caballero would have been fine for that match, I think.
Big drama show, yes. But I think Caballero is going to be jettisoned pretty soon as well, or if he doesn't get with the programme.
Yeah.
I mean, Caballero was always a better distributor of ball from the back than Hart ever was.
Yeah.
So I think that's what saved him.
Just about, I suppose.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think like Bravo is going to be their City's kind of sweeper keeper.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like he's there to attack the ball. That's how he's trained. He's always played like that.
Mm.
And so I don't think we're going to see a big change from Bravo. He's always going to take those risks.
Mm.
And the thing is that when you take enough risks, a couple of them are not going to come off.
Yeah, of course.
The thing is, the reason why he got caught in possession a lot is because in like all of his previous teams, he's always had the defenders there as an outlet, but his defensive line sat quite high.
Yeah, he was very stranded then, wasn't he?
Exactly. You know, I mean, like, he was being caught down. He was being chased down by fucking Rooney, for fuck's sake.
which is an accomplishment of itself. But then again, like, would you expect more though from a 34-year-old, very experienced goalkeeper who's played in these kind of styles for years? Shouldn't he have been able to like fit in just like that?
No, because defence don't play with a keeper like that.
Yeah, I suppose.
So I think it's a lack of familiarity on both sides.
Mm.
You've got the defenders who are not fucking certain about this nutcase behind them.
Yeah.
And got the nutcase who isn't sure about the solidity of the four guys in front of him.
Yeah. So, well then, yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, he kept a clean sheet tonight against Mönchengladbach, so I guess that's a start, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Although, to be honest with you, his rubbish catch for the goal was is something that no keeper should ever make.
Yeah. Like it's
I was actually about to say that. I was like, all the mistakes that he made in the match, I can attribute to a lack of kind of practice with the team and a lack of familiarity. Bar the mistake that actually led to the goal, that was a genuine fucking hammer.
Yeah. And he looks, and just like throughout the game, then he looks so nervous and fidgety. Like he looked out of his depth in a sense. But I'm sure it's nerves, and it's the fact that you've already made a mistake, such a high profile mistake, and the game is still at a knife edge. Possibly, I'm still kind of like going on assumptions that like Bravo is competent. So we'll have to wait and see the next time they're in the league and have a more adequate challenge, I suppose.
Well, absolutely. I mean, like, what you're going to see here now, you're going to see Bravo come out a lot more, like 10, 15 metres off his line, and he's going to attack a lot more balls. He's going to attack free kicks. He's going to attack corners. You know, you're going to see that. You know. Yeah,
definitely. Well, they're up against Bournemouth on Saturday anyway, which is a fixture they historically win by a hefty amount of goals. So there's your tip for your football fantasy. You get literally every Manchester City player you can, put it in your team, make him your fucking wild cards, your captains, whatever it is, and just rake in the points. Although me after saying that, Bournemouth will probably fucking win the match like 3-0 or something and could prove me completely wrong. Anyway, let's move on then to our next fixture then to talk about. We're moving on to the 3 p.m. kickoffs now on Saturday, and going alphabetically, it's Arsenal time. They beat Southampton 2-1, but that's not the full story, is it, Neil?
Mother of Christ, it's not.
Okay, well, you're the resident expert in these situations, so take us through it. How was your emotional roller coaster?
Actually, I was about to say it was an emotional roller coaster until you got in ahead of me there.
Yep.
Holy shit. Fucking hell. It was a game we couldn't afford to lose, and it was just nerve-shredding pressure the whole way through. The first half was atrocious. Only it got. I mean, the free kick that we conceded. I don't even know where to begin to fucking talk about.
Yeah, you're so confused just even starting.
Yeah, it's just the team showed virtually no fluency, which is quite weird considering our central midfield was both Cockett and Cazorla.
Yeah, because you were talking to me about that before the game, and you were thinking like, "Holy shit, this is a really balanced midfield." Oh well, Arsenal have a balanced midfield. I can't believe I just said that and just like quoted it for posterity. But yeah, okay, well let's give like a fair due here. There were 2 new signings in the squad, Mustafi and Perez. How did they do in your opinion?
Well, Perez didn't get a lot of service, to be perfectly honest. I mean, like, he put in a decent shift. He's quite busy. I mean, I think Perez, Wenger said afterwards that both of them were very short of match fitness.
Yeah.
I think Mustafi had only played 1 game, and Perez had only played one half of one game before joining Arsenal. So I think giving them time to adjust would be the best thing. With Mustafi, I think kind of being rushed forward a lot more, because we have options up front, whereas our defensive options are kind of limited, and it's very imperative that he clicks with Koscielny very quickly.
Yeah, totally. So he, like you said, he's there very much to replace Mertesacker, which has been said like, for years since. There you go.
It's not a like for like with Mertesacker. By the way, it's essentially we've bought another Koscielny.
Yeah. That certainly comes across in the way he plays. Like this, he's definitely not like the like fucking obelisk that Mertesacker is. He's very much like, you know, an active midfield defender, I'd say. So something like a ball player almost.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, also, actually, Tottenham had quite a good game today. Defensively, he was quite excellent. He was running around. It's just we two up front, which was quite bad. Özil had a weak game by his very lofty high standards.
Yeah.
What the fuck is up with the Ox?
Yeah, let's talk about the Oxlade-Chamberlain, because he's been criticised lately for obviously being inconsistent, and I feel like this is just generally a thing that happens to Arsenal players. And correct me on this if I'm wrong, but lads like Oxlade-Chamberlain, Wilshere, I throw in here, Ramsey, Walcott, they're all the kind of players that seem to do great 1 week or 2 weeks, and then they're anonymous then for not the whole season, but like large periods of it. Like Oxlade, I think, is the biggest culprit of this, because obviously he'll go on usually at the start of the season as well. Funny enough, like he comes in red hot from pre-season, has 2 or 3 great games, scores a goal or 2, and then completely goes off the boil. And is it something endemic with Arsenal? Like, do your players just certainly just like lose their form? Is it an individual thing? It's really hard for me to pinpoint nowadays.
But see, the funny thing is that I don't even think we're going to get those odd good games off the Ox this season. He's been regressing now for the last 2 seasons or so, and holy shit, he was shit today.
Yeah.
All of his crossing was bad. He conceded a fuckload of possession. By the way, he got his game in the Champions League there yesterday and played just as crap. So, it was just so bad. So the thing is, I think he's in a kind of last chance saloon with regards to his form. I don't think he's going to get it. You know.
You really, yeah.
I really don't. I mean, Theo's completely gone off the boiler as well. But then again, we've been expecting that for fucking ages, and I think the only reason we haven't moved him on is because he's on 140 grand a week.
Yeah.
I think if he was on even 100k a week, he'd have been offloaded.
It's kind of funny as well. It's funny that we're talking about players performing so badly, even though you actually did win the game. Like, it's a thing that like you guys do.
But we did score all 3 goals.
Well, that's a start, isn't it? Like that says more about Southampton really being ineffective, but that's different.
To be honest with you now, we benefited quite a lot from the fact that Shane Long couldn't finish his dinner.
Yeah, I mean, this is we said this at the deadline day special as well about Southampton. Like, why they spend so much money in their midfield and getting like lads like FUWBAWLL and Holberg, who are theoretically really good product, like young players, and that they're going to have resale value in 2 or 3 years time. But why not get another striker? You did not replace Pele, and you don't have enough goals in Long and Austin. Like that is very, very obvious. Now, either
I think they're really hoping Jay Rodriguez steps up.
I was about to say, yeah, it looks like they're putting all their hopes in Rodriguez, who is still quite, ginger. He's still quite delicate from the injuries that he's had, and he's not guaranteed to can go the full season either. That's why people wanted him to go out on loan, get his fitness back, and then you can recall him when you know he's back to normal. So I don't know. This is the match was just as much about Southampton not being able to put the finishing touch on it, rather than Arsenal climbing back after a very bad first half.
Well, a very bad 20 minutes at the very least. Yeah. I mean, despite the fact that they had far more shots on target than we did, the free kick that led to the goal was a total dive by Red.
Yeah.
Monreal was absolutely nowhere near him, who got booked as well for it, by the way. I thought that was fucking hard. So, yeah, and then Tadic just whacked it. Again, no fucking jumping in the ball.
Yeah, it's
fucking all those.
It's one of your favourite things in the world, just Walls not jumping.
Absolutely. Okay. And I wouldn't even mind, but I was even watching it going, this Wall's not going to jump and he's going to slot this straight fucking in.
Well, you don't want to interfere with his hair, like, you know? Like, that's
so fucking ridiculous. And to be honest with you now, Czech did quite well in even getting it to the bar, and he was just very unlucky that got it to the underside of the bar.
Yeah, of course.
Had that hit any other part of that fucking crossbar, that would have down.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
even if it hit straight down, you'd have actually leapt over it.
Yeah, it is one of those things that, and I think it sucks for goalkeepers as well, after like putting so much effort in trying to parry it away, and you know you've made contact with it, but it's gone the wrong way. That sucks. Like it's a worse kind of own goal to have, because you know you've done your absolute best to get it out. And it's literally just like physics betraying you, you know?
Yeah, well, if you want physics betraying you, then Koscielny's fucking bicycle kick now certainly did that.
What? Has he done that before? Because my brain is telling me that I've seen that happen already, and I'm like, it just kind of like...
I think he's done it with training videos. He's got actually quite a lot of skill on the ball for a fucking centre half.
Yeah, because I just felt no surprise at it. It was just like, oh, it was an overhead kick by Koscielny? Okay, yeah, fine. It was like it happened already, and I just kind of expected it, rather than going, holy shit, a central defender has done something athletic. They're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, I know, but it was pretty good. And the thing is that Cazorla, it was from a Cazorla corner. Cazorla, by the way, who had a very good game.
Yeah, won the game for you in the end.
And it was bundled on by Coquelin, and then by Perez as well, who helped keep it alive. And then just Koscielny just pumped it in.
Yeah, totally. I obviously it goes without saying, but if you feel like the jury is still out on the two new signings, Mustafi and Perez.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely out. See, the thing is that we fielded a kind of B team with... Now, we all thought prior to the match that the B team was fielded because of we had Paris Saint-Germain on the Tuesday, which we will get to later,
Indeed.
Which turned out to be complete bollocks.
Yes, it did, didn't it?
Yes, it very, very much so. But anyway, the second half was really key. We actually dominated possession in the second half, but we didn't do much with it. Long made some fucking hilarious misses. I think I quite like the one where he tried to chip Petr Cech.
Yeah. Chipping
it just bobbled like 7 yards wide. I remember that I was watching that with a load of friends, and one of them went, "Oh, Czech was nowhere near that." I was like, "Yeah, that's because the ball was nowhere to fucking go either."
Yeah, you expect Czech to be near by the corner flag. That's
absolutely. It's like when somebody blasts the ball into Rose edge, you're like, "Oh, the goalkeeper wouldn't have gone near that." It's like because it's 14 feet of fucking air. So
exactly.
Everybody in the fucking lower stand weren't near it either.
No, there's just like some fucking... Yeah, there's like a bird that was like nesting up there somewhere that got really disturbed by that shot.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then we brought on Alexis and Giroud. 60th minute?
Yeah, an early substitution from Arsene Wenger. He's actually changing.
Early double substitution.
Yeah, sign him up, Arsenal. He's finally changed. He's
Absolutely.
seen the error of his ways.
Fucking hell, yeah. And then the there's an awful lot of Schadenfreude with regards to the penalty that we won.
Yes.
With regard, it's just, to be honest with you, like, complain all you want, fucking reap what you sow. Redmond, though, won you the free kick that got you the goal.
Mm-hmm.
That shouldn't have stood. Yeah, Shane Long was down. Koscielny had been kicked in the face at one point. He was down as well, and we just played on. And Fonte decided to swing out a fucking Giroud with like a 6-year-old in a jungle gym.
Yes. Which is
penalty,
bad.
yeah, and it was a definite foul. It was a definite penalty.
Well, there you go then. Poetic justice coming from the Arsenal fan who definitely is saying that with a level head. So
no, don't get me wrong. Like, Southampton were kind of the better side. They were definitely the better side in the first half.
Yeah, but like we were saying already, Southampton to me feels stifled, just generally. Like in comparison to like the Southampton sides of past, like with Pellegrini, Marissa Pellegrini and Pellegrini. No, I got Pochettino. That's the word I was thinking of, and Coleman. Like the creativity is not as free flowing as it was behind them, and I think it is a lot down to the manager as well. Like
yes, it is a case of Puel's rush in where Coleman speared to tread.
Jolly good. So,
but yeah, it's just I'm not sure Puel even knows what he's doing with this team. The team certainly don't look like they know what they're doing.
I think the only thing Puel knows what he's doing is looking a lot like Johnny Giles. That's about it. That's the one thing he's got on pretty well.
It is quite a big transformation he's making.
Yeah, and it's a transformation that I don't particularly like. Maybe that's Southampton's tactic actually for keeping their players. If we don't look so good during the season, then nobody will buy our players. Huh? Right? We just keep ruining people's careers and we get to keep everybody. Hey!
Pretty much. I mean, the thing is, I think we said it earlier on in previous podcasts that we weren't sure if Southampton were going to keep up the level of performance with the amount of pillages that have been done on them.
Yeah.
And I think it's caught up with them.
Well, it's caught up with them in the sense that they don't have a manager who was as... Again, this is dangerous territory for me, but it wasn't as good as Coleman or Pochettino. Like, it's... And I'm not saying that as a negative on Puel. Like, Puel has his own way, but his way is obviously more pragmatic than a Coleman or a Pochettino side. Like, Pochettino's side was all energy, all flair. Coleman was is a little bit more controlled, a little bit more focused, and Puel is just like, kick it about for 10 minutes and maybe something will happen.
Absolutely.
Don't make a run. Don't make a run. Stay exactly there and pass around.
What you were saying about Puel's way is not the Southampton way.
No, it's not. And it's very obvious that's the case. Like, he is very much like you can tell he's a League On manager because League On sides very much play like that. They play very balanced and that's why like PSG are able to just like walk over the fucking league, and like teams like Lyon are able to walk over the league as well, and then get trounced in Europe when they come up against an actual challenge. It shows you exactly the kind of disconnect in that league when there's literally just like 3 big teams, everyone else is kind of bad.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think in super intensity of the Premier League, I think it's really gonna wake them up.
Yeah, I think the Southampton side generally just needs to kind of like wake up. Really, that's what it feels like. It just feels like they're in second gear, and in comparison to what they were last season and the season before, they are missing Mane though. That's the main thing. Like, and when you see how much we've gained and how Southampton have lost, you see how major a player Mane is. But you never know. Redmond might take that role. You never know. I mean,
well, that's assuming that he can stay on his fucking feet for long enough.
That's true. Like there was a very stiff breeze out, Neil. You see, that's the problem. Very stiff breeze. Anyway, let's move on then and talk then about the most exciting match this weekend: Bournemouth versus West Brom. Believe it or not, Bournemouth actually won a game. It happened, which I'm delighted for. Yeah, mathematically speaking, they were bound to win a game this season, but it was against a Pulis side, and you know all is not well at West Brom at the moment with them and Tony Pulis. There's been a lot of talk actually that Pulis might be on the way out, and that Pulis was not happy with how they did on deadline day, because you know West Brom is West Brom. And West Brom is not a team that signs just 2 players on deadline day. They typically sign 6 and 3 players that you never heard of, or you've undergone surgery to try and forget them. And to be fair, like you can tell already that Pulis isn't quite happy with the players he had. Like he signed Chadley, which was probably his best acquisition. But when you see all the other players they went for in the summer, and it just like, I think like you hear rumors of like them bidding for Camacho from Malaga, who's a great player, and I can imagine like the lads of Malaga are just like laughing their arse off at this like middle of the road East West Midlands side trying to bid for their star player, and they're just like they're taking bets on who's gonna say no first. You know, that's kind of what West Brom feel like at the moment. Just like, you know, there's no point in you trying to sign anybody. We know who you are. We know you're Tony Pulis. You don't use players. You don't use talented players. That's not what you do. Don't ask me why Chadley went to West Brom in that case, but there you go.
Who?
Your man. And you know,
oh.
he used to play for Spurs.
The thing is that I think Pulis has kind of he's done his job. You know, he kept an utterly average squad up 2 years in a row, which is the only reason that Pete was able to even sell the club. I mean, they've been taken over by the Chinese, haven't they?
Yeah, I think there's only like 3 clubs left in England that haven't been taken over by Chinese.
Yeah, pretty much. And now they're just calling for his fucking head, you know?
Yeah. Which you can see why, though, because you look at what other like Chinese consortiums want to do, and they want to get like... They're going by. I think they're almost going by what Wolves want to do. They get like a very well-known manager, some sort of advisor that knows a lot of players and can somehow trick the players into going into this like middle of the road club and somehow make themselves, you know, noteworthy. So you can see that's what West Brom owners will eventually try and do. Likewise, the group that are in talks now to buy Hull. Their Chinese consortium as well, they'll try and do the same thing. It's just a thing that's happening in the league now. That's just everyone from China is going, yes, we can take control of the league. We can take all of your average clubs and make them even more average. It's a perfect plan.
Well, that's pretty much it. Now, it's very obvious now that players don't want to play for Pulis.
That's the thing, yeah. That's exactly it. Like, how can you like attract talented, young, precocious like footballers when Saido Berahino is sitting there squandering, and the only thing he can do is basically sit there and let his contract run out? How
in all fairness, Berahino had 2 fucking chances, 2 really gilt-edged chances to win this for them. You know, the one was like a point-blank save by Boric. And after some fantastic work by Galloway, Boris was actually quite good in that game, I'll have to say.
Yeah, he's had 2 decent games actually, Boris.
Yeah, he has, but it's very obvious now that the players are just fed up with Pulis. The fans are starting to get fed up with Pulis. And he has not endeared himself by chucking people under the bus, like...
Yeah,
you know,
like he's been given.
He's gone on to whinge about like how his players won't play and all this shit, and that he's working under difficult constraints. And I was like, fuck, what are you talking about, man? You know?
Yeah, but again, he feels like I feel like Pulis doesn't quite understand who he is anymore. Like the joke we've made jokes about Pulis being that manager. You know, like he's
Oh yeah,
yeah, he is like the well, he is a guy that beat up one of his players in the showers one time, and that stigma's not gonna go away. You know, it's in the same sense that, like, you know, any kind of like bad thing a manager does, people will still remember it. You know, people will always remember Alan Pardew for headbutting David Myler. You know, um,
absolutely.
so it's always that sense, and you know, for me, like, yeah, I think Pulis is starting to, yeah, the fuse is getting shorter for him, truthfully, and it's only remarkably. I read a report that I think it was the Telegraph, who usually get these things right, that think that West Brom are going to bring back Roy Hodgson, which I cannot wait to see.
Fucking hell, I kind
Yeah,
of really hope that. Similarly, also hope that they don't do that.
I want it to happen because, quite frankly, I think West Brom is the only club that Hodgson actually was good at.
It's certainly the only club that'll take him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe like some League Two side might take him at this stage. You know, it's hard to say. There might be better candidates
Yeah.
around. But that's enough about West Brom. Then let's talk about Bournemouth. I mean, they started. They got a goal. Callum Wilson scored for the first time this season, back from
What a
injury.
finish as well.
Yeah, great finish. Just great play overall from Bournemouth. Like you expected from them. Really good football. Jordan Ibe had a great game as well. He was a standout player. And Jack Wilshere had a bit of a run out as well. So I think it's fair to say, you know, it's a good performance, and it's an important one as well for Bournemouth. They really needed to win because
Absolutely.
they had a
I
lot of
mean,
heavy
they were
defeats.
helped by West Brom standing off them and rolling out red carpet at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of a couple of very nice moments by Ibe, uh, Wilson having some really good chances, they didn't really create a lot, but their play was very good and very positive.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Just like they keep positive, they're not changing their style. Even if they do struggle this season, they're not going to change who they are. That's what I love about Bournemouth. They are a very positive style, and it just makes them a good team to play for. You see, that's the difference, West Brom. You have to show that you're a positive side, not like fucking like Pulis, who goes, I know, I'll just like bring up two young players from the squad, put them in the first team, and everyone's happy. That doesn't work like that, mate. No matter how good
Absolutely, yeah. I think Hell understands that Bournemouth needed a spark. I think that's kind of why he went for Wiltshire.
yeah. Which is weird considering how many sparks they do have in the team anyway. Like Ivan Gradle and whoever else they have. They're all wide players though, so I can see your point.
Yeah, weirdly though, Wilshire was actually switched out to the right after the two substitutes were made after him. So, but it was a low key debut. He's still coming back.
Yeah.
Time will tell, but it's obvious that he's rated quite well, and when he's fit, he will play.
Yeah, totally. So I look forward to seeing Bournemouth improve. They're gonna lose very badly to City, but then again, like Bournemouth are just kind of like City light the way they play, so it's kind of expected. Moving on then, let's talk then about another really thrilling match. Burnley versus Hull City. The first actual game between two promoted sides, and they're very much the two promoted sides that people are just kind of worried about this season, and it ends up in the draw. 2 second half goals. Defoe for Burnley scoring his first home goal as well, and then Robert Snodgrass, who just seems to be doing everything lately. He's scored hat tricks for Scotland, he's scored winning goals for Hull, and he scored a cracking free kick in the 95th minute to earn a point for Hull City. You have to say, like, Snodgrass has been one of the best players this season so far, and it's only in the early days.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's been great. Absolutely great.
He's just undergone some fucking one hell of a renaissance. But no, it's something else now to watch Hull, to be honest with you, Hull are defying everybody. You
Yeah, and
know,
it's all just against logic. We've said this from the start. Like it's just like you have a manager here who has been like perennial assistant, and you have a group of players here who are just about enough to make a full team, let alone put people on the bench, and they are just able to get it together. You know, it is against logic, but that's football. It's always against logic.
absolutely. I'm like, I'm kind of wondering what the fuck Keelan has done to Snodgrass.
I don't know, cause well, I mean, it's always. I would prefer that Snodgrass is going to be like this regardless, even if Bruce is still in charge, because Snodgrass was always like
He
struggling
was
with.
always a good player.
He was always a good player, and I think he was never. He was kind of forgotten about because he was out for 2 years, and he was out for 2 years. He had a broken leg. No, it was an ACL, and I think it was a broken leg then. So he had like the two worst injuries you can have in football, and comes back from even stronger, which is just it's impressive in of itself. It really is.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm.
He's always been a good player. Injury, I think a lack of confidence as well kind of held him back.
And I think probably using him in the wrong form way as well, because I remember he was at Norwich for a long time, and he was always in the right midfield for. I think he played under Houghton actually. Now that I remember, and he got sold on to
Did he
Hull.
play for Leeds at one point?
He could have. You could be right. I know for a fact he played for Norwich, and come to think of it, he could have been Leeds as well. Which
Oh, actually, he did. He did play for Leeds.
yeah, yeah.
But family, we both know that's never going to help your career.
No, no. Well, if anything, it just says. I think he joined. Yeah, he joined Leeds on a dare, really, and then you leave 4 weeks later when you get sacked. So
Yeah.
but yeah, because I remember like Houghton was really just like frustrated that like Snodgrass got sold to Hull, and lo and behold, it was the year that Norwich got relegated. So I guess he was doing something right there over there.
Absolutely, and he's definitely Hull's shining light so far.
Totally, yeah, yeah.
Um, I have to admit, like Burnley recruited very well. Defoe, brilliant. Hendrick, cannot wait to see him,
Yeah,
and Bamford as well.
yeah. They've been clever this window, and they were more effective this year than they were like the last time they were in the Premiership when all they got was George Boyd, which again, not anything bad against Boyd, but when you're trying to like swing punches with the big guys, you need to get more players basically, rather than
More
just
Boyd than Boyd.
more Boyd than Boyd exactly. And they've done better this time around, I think. And it purely they just had one mission like this summer, and that was to just like reinforce their midfield, because obviously they lost Barton, their captain, to Rangers, and sorry, I just felt like chuckling at Rangers today. I don't know what it is, but the simple fact is they had one job, and they spent over the odds than they usually do in the transfer window, but they did it, and they've got themselves a decent chance of at least standing up. Like at least they have some way of standing up against the lads now. They've got two really good
No,
players.
absolutely.
Mm.
I think it's actually kind of telling that the one team that hasn't been taken to task by Hull were Burnley. And I remember even Sean Dyche even said that before the match. He said, "Don't be bluffed by this whole woe is Hull story. They've got a lot of experienced players, and some of those players cost a lot of money."
That's true.
And then I checked out. I took a bit of a longer look at the whole team. And it's like the first 11 had 9 capped internationals on it.
Yeah, but they're all
So
like, kind of
that's
like
not a crap team.
yeah, like it is kind of like weirdly maligned players in a way. Like people, when you look at the whole side, you go, haha, Tom Huddleston, or you go, haha, Jake Livermore. It's that kind of yeah. I would say maligned players rather than players like you go, oh, David Myler, I'm so excited about him.
Yeah,
you don't have that
absolutely.
effect from Hull. It's almost a negative. It's almost the opposite.
Hull, they're kind of like the Suicide Squad of the fucking Premier League.
That's a great endorsement, to be fair. Terrible movie. Terrible movie, but great football team.
Yeah. But
Right.
like I said, I am actually quite. To be honest with you, a draw was the best result here, and I'm actually quite looking forward to seeing how both teams do.
Indeed.
Really looking forward to see Hendricks at Burnley, though. I really, really have.
Yeah, it's a team that suits him as well because it's a free running midfield. Like they have a lot of space and like opportunity creativity in there, so it's a team that suits him absolutely. I feel like he was like a bit too constrained to Derby as well because Nidge likes his like tight midfield and also throwing shots
Absolutely.
over
The
stadiums.
cat's all the footballs being over the stadium.
Yeah, definitely. That's the Nidge way. So moving on then, let's move on to Middlesbrough versus Crystal Palace. This is a surprising victory for me actually. Crystal Palace won the game 2-1 in the end. Christian Benteke got his first goal, got off the mark for Palace. Another former Liverpool man, Daniel Ayala, was going really reading back the years for Liverpool alumni. He scored the equaliser for Borough, but it was Wilfried Zaha who ultimately got the winning goal in the 47th minute, which was quite fitting considering that at one time in the transfer window it was looking like Zaha wanted to leave Palace and go to Spurs, and now here he is getting the winning goal. So, I don't know. By the way, the smell you're getting right now is the smugness coming from Alan Pardew. I don't know if you're getting that.
Has he stopped dancing?
Well, historians will always argue that Alan Pardew will never stop dancing, but we can never truly know the truth.
Well, to be honest with you, like they, as much as actually, it doesn't pain me to say this, but they really did deserve this victory.
They did.
They massively overpowered Middlesbrough at times. Benteke scoring has definitely saved Pardew's career.
Oh boy, yes, that goal saved a man's career. Just that
Oh,
one.
absolutely, definitely. I'm like, to be honest with you, he was. I'd say if Benteke had hit a dry spell right now, Pardew would be up there with Pulis for the sack race come Christmas.
I think he still is in a way. Like they're still talking about Pardew like he's still on thin ice, but because Benteke is actually starting to pay out a dividend, they're not talking about it as much. And again, I think Pulis is
Definitely
obviously
given a stay of execution.
Yeah, stay of execution is a good way of putting it. Plus that, and there's actually more managers in the league right now that people are laughing at harder, which is saying something for Alan Pardew, really, considering that's what people do to Alan Pardew. They laugh at him.
That's because it's so goddamn easy.
Yeah, it is. Like he just does things that makes him so easy to mock, and yeah, his white man dancing at Magaluf is not really helping. But I mean,
no, it is.
But it is good to see Benteke score though. Like we've said it already that Liverpool were never going to make the best out of him anyway. They were always going to play him as something that he's not. And the fact is now that you have a player, or you have him now in a team that plays to his strengths, and it already proves. Like it only took him 16 minutes in this game to score, and there you go. That's going to be the start of it now, for me.
Definitely. I mean, hopefully now this leads to a lot more goals for Benteke.
Yeah.
And Zaha as well.
Yeah, I can totally see Zaha being a lot more of a supplier to Benteke though. Although Townsend has a wicked cross in him as well, so that front three.
Benteke turned provider, and Townsend had a very very good shot that was saved by Valdez.
Yeah.
The fact that Valdez was playing in this fucking game, fucking hell.
Shows it. Yeah, that's Middlesbrough. That's a joy of Middlesbrough, a team that is like sitting. The team that is situated in one of the historically worst cities in England, and there you have it: Valdez, Negredo, Fisher. These like players that you know about. It's like I know Victor Valdez. I know Alvaro Negredo. They're playing for Middlesbrough. I'm gonna go back, go and have a lie down now.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not
yeah.
okay.
I'm like, if you didn't even mention that like 2 years ago, you'd just been laughed out of the room.
Absolutely. But then again, that says more about how Middlesbrough have improved more than anything else.
It does. Also, Palace have a pretty fucking tasty team. They've got both Benteke's.
Yep. Yeah, actually, let's talk about that. We had the other Benteke, which we didn't actually spot at the time. Apparently, that was like a youth deal they had done with like
Yeah.
a Belgian team that has like I don't know what they do. I think they're called Zoutwaarden or something. They were in like the Europa League once upon a time, and I always remember their name. But they have like a lot of the like younger brothers of current Premier League players. Like they used to have baby Lukaku, who is now playing in a different Belgian team, and they also had like two Hazards on their books.
Yeah, they had his two younger brothers
Yeah.
until Chelsea signed Torgan and then offloaded them to Borussia Mönchengladbach.
And they have the other two Hazards as well. I think they're like Ethan and Killian. The both of them play for the same team, and they also had baby Benteke, Jonathan. So I think Crystal Palace signed him more or less around the same time they signed Christian, and nobody noticed. They just thought it was like a glitch in the system when they saw two Benteke signing for Palace. But lo and behold, and it's cool actually. It's groovy to see because he doesn't have the same build as Benteke. He's actually a lot like lankier than him. He's still the same height, but seems to be a lot more like
He's not filled out as much.
Exactly, yeah. He's a diet Benteke. That's what he is. So, with that being said, then we move on to this very interesting scoreline. Actually, Stoke 0, Spurs 4. Yeah, it's fair to say things are not good at Stoke City at the moment. I mean, they finished with a 4-0 thrashing at home, which is something that typically doesn't happen, really. And their manager Mark Hughes sent to the stands for taking umbrage with a supposed dive from Arnautovic. It's really not. It really hasn't been a good start for Stoke. They're actually bottom of the league right now with a very bad goal difference and only 1 point to their name. Is it really easy to pinpoint what's wrong with Stoke?
Everything.
Everything. Well, apart from everything, can we pinpoint one thing that's wrong with Stoke?
Basically the recruitment this year was fucking tripe.
Yeah.
Their signing of FUWBAWLL really should have. I mean, they signed him from Porto.
Yeah,
who did they sign him off?
Porto, you're right. Porto
bought him off Marseille.
That's right, yeah. So it was like big money moved to Porto. 6 months later, Stoke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, doesn't that? Oh, am I the only person who would have looked at that and gone, "Hang on, why are they so fucking eager to loan out a player that they've broken their club record for? It's 6 fucking months."
Yeah, exactly. And it's not even a loan; it was a permanent deal as well. It was like literally like give for 16 million and he's yours. I said okay.
Absolutely, and he put in. Hilariously enough, out of an entire Stoke team that really did not turn up to a man, he was the worst.
Yeah, he's been so anonymous since he signed as well, and it says so much about Stoke that like you had to sign Joe Allen for the same money to replace him. And yet, it's such a weird team. It really is. It's that kind of like it's at that middle point now where Stoke don't know what they are because we've been saying for years like they've slowly turned more like into an attacking flair side, but now they're like they've reached that brick wall where they go, okay, we don't know what we are anymore. They actually have an identity crisis, which is weird for football.
Absolutely, and the thing is that identity crisis kicks in midway through the fucking game.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, they actually did make a strong start against Spurs.
Yeah, Whelan had that fucking cracking shot from distance, didn't he?
Fuck yeah, he did. And to be honest with you, somebody had to stick their head to deflect that wide.
Yeah, I think it was out of or something.
I generally don't think fucking. I've forgotten their goalkeeper's name.
Vorm.
Was it Vorm? Vorm was playing?
Yeah, Vorm, I think it was, yeah.
It
could have been Lloris.
Definitely wasn't get to it anyway.
No.
But it's like it's just, and then after 20 minutes when they didn't score 19 billion goals, they just went, "What the fuck are we doing?" They couldn't keep it up, and then they just got fucking haunted bits.
Yeah, I mean the standout player obviously being Heung-min Son, who actually scored 2 goals, which is I think it's a first for him really for Spurs, because he wasn't he was kind of signed as a striker from Leverkusen, but is that kind of player that plays more in midfield and is therefore utilised more that way. But he seems like just now he seems like a very obvious replacement for Chadley now to play in that left midfield like area and then drift inside, and it's working out really well for him. It suits him a lot better than like playing kind of like anywhere in the midfield squad. Like now he has an actual like position that he's a specialist in, so it's good for him. And to be fair, this is a perfect performance for Spurs, result wise, because Ali got a goal, Kane got a goal, they're up and running now for the season, which is what they needed. And truthfully, just Stoke need to get back to the drawing board, because
they're sick.
They are actually like a very unwell side in a sense that they well, we'll see now. I mean, they have Bonnie who might get some goals for Stoke, but ultimately it's not the goals is the problem. It's a defensive organisation. Like they, by all accounts, at least two Spurs goals shouldn't have happened if the Stoke's defence was as organised as they used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite weird to see a Stoke team be this leaky.
Yeah, like I said,
they've a decent back line. I'm like, they're 4 good players. They've a decent defensive central midfield, and they've a very good keeper in Button.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exactly the problem that like people were kind of fearing with the whole. I think we actually were talking about when Mark Wilson joined Bournemouth. I think like prior to him leaving the club, he nearly were saying this, like he said in the Q&A that Stoke don't do any defensive training. You can tell that there is a very obvious like lack of organisation, lack of coordination between the back four, and that's now at their detriment. They're thinking too much about being this kind of like wildly attractive, like attacking side, that they've forgotten how to defend.
Totally forgotten, but
yeah, and it's starting to show. They're bottom of the league, rubbing shoulders with Sunderland of all teams, which should really tell you about how bad your team is, if that's who you're keeping company with.
Absolutely. And we were talking about the Christmas sack race there. I think Hughes' name is going to come up there. I mean, each of his signings since the new year have actually served to make Stoke worse somehow. Now, I think Boney might be the exception to that rule, but...
Well, and Welsh Javi, thank you very much.
Oh, and the Welsh Javi, yes.
Yeah, remember your fucking place, Neil, alright? Don't get cheeky. Some people...
But even he can't. I'm like, this team is so bad, I think even he can't do anything with this. Like, it's ridiculous,
He can try. He can goddamn try.
He really can, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just...
He was...
I will say one thing, Spurs were very lucky that Wanyama was still on the fucking pitch by the time he got subbed off.
Yeah, I think Wanyama, that's going to be a story for Wanyama anyway. Like, he is going to be like, oh, is he still on the pitch? Well, that's a positive. That's a bonus.
Absolutely, you're seeing him going 2 foot into tackles when he's already on the yellow, and you're like, does he fucking know that he's on the yellow?
Does he understand how like cards work?
Absolutely, you're just walking up and going, here, ref, can you remind him that he's not to be doing this bullshit,
Exactly.
Even Pochettino even said that afterwards. He's like, it was good to take the pressure off by subbing off Wanyama. Something meant to him was like, Wanyama was subbed off, so he wasn't going to get sent off. He went, yeah. Yes. He just went, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can at least admire his honesty for that, can't you? But
I can, yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, if he'd have said anything else, like, it would have been massively disingenuous.
Yeah, totally. Right then, let's move on to I suppose a kind of all London match. I guess. I mean, it's in a London stadium. Both clubs are in London somehow, and it was a very entertaining match. Quite topsy turvy, in fact. Let me tell you all about it. West Ham United versus Watford. Right. First off, West Ham started off the game leading 2-0. Mikel Antonio scored 2 goals, which again proves the point that he should not be playing a right back. He's in the box way too much. And I think he's at the stage now, he's so advanced as a fullback, Alberto Moreno has like a shrine set up to him and he tries to pray to him for guidance. But the match is very much defined on how good West Ham's goals were initially. Like the Antonio goal, the first one was great. The crowd broke into a small cheer, which was, a good start for the Olympic Stadium. But
very good.
The assist for the second goal though from Payet was absolutely divine. Like it was an actual godsend. Like it was a Rabona fucking cross, which was just so. It was so audacious, really, and the fact that he had the vision to see that Antonio was on the near post, ready for the ball to come in, just great, just fantastic again from Payet, and you can see Payet is slowly starting to get kicking, because he had a bit of a slow start himself, and then West Ham kind of forgot how to football.
They really fucking did.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't think you can put it any other way than that.
Yeah,
it was just fucking. They just literally forgot how to football.
Yeah, it was like what happened to them was it was like someone's controller went dead on FIFA and the match played on, and then just Watford walked all over them. 4 different goal scorers: Igalo, Dini, Capu, which is his 3rd goal this season, and Holebas, who is a defender. And just like the defense was so out of whack, goalkeeper was flapping at everything, and just they were so toothless in up front as well. Like Zaza was making his debut and looked completely fucking distracted.
Absolutely. I mean, the funny thing was that Watford were also all over the place at the back, but going forward they were very powerful.
Yeah. Which is going to happen when you have a choice of strikers like what they have now. Like, all of their strikers are pretty much the exact same.
And fucking Pereira. Holy shit, man. Yeah. That guy's quick.
He is great. Pereira is a great player. Like, I'm so amazed that Juventus let him go. But you can see why. Like, you can see why Watford had to spend fucking 17 million to get him. Like, he's a top-class playmaker. He really is.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was a couple of times when he would square. I think he squared the ball for a Gallo one time, and I think it was only for Matsuaku getting in the block. That was just in, and it was just the way he bears down on goal and then just slices the defense open. Now, in all fairness, no defenses will be as accommodating as West Ham's were that night, but. Yeah, fucking hell, just the speed, he just takes off. Even with the ball, he's so fucking fast.
Yeah, and it's that kind of like player that Watford were kind of missing last year. They always seem to have like a very, I don't want to say a static midfield, but they had a midfield that weren't particularly productive. Maybe that's just me, because it seems like now with Mazzari, he's got that midfield doing more. And maybe
he certainly got them doing a lot more running forward.
Yeah, totally. I think. Do you know what it is? I say it's because of the change of formation as well, because he is playing the 5 at the back now. Like he has like I think it's Holebas and Yamat were the fullbacks. Could be wrong about that. I know Yamat was on anyway, and now the 3 midfielders are like Pereira. I think it was Watson. It's so hard to fucking tell with Watford. They have like 40 players in their books. But I'll confirm this now for myself. Barami, that's who I was thinking of. Barami, Pereira and Capu. That was their midfield. And like you can tell already, that's like a midfield that's gonna just keep moving box to box. And it works sometimes it doesn't. this time it did. And yeah, just like they have a great choice of strikers as well. Like they have 4 really hard hitting heavyweight strikers who they can choose from.
Absolutely. I mean, Igalo and Dini are just, they're very fucking big, very skillful men.
Yeah, like Dini's goal was cracking. Like he was able to, he got into space and just chipped Adrian. I was like, wow, nice.
Not the easiest thing to do, by the way. Adrian being, I think, a kind of human variant of Doctor Octopus.
Yeah, on his day.
He certainly is when he plays us, anyway.
Totally. But yeah, like it's, I really don't know what's wrong with fucking West Ham. Really, it's just they're such a hodgepodge lately. Like they're such a like an interim team. They're I think you were saying like this is the 8th different lineup they had. They have so many new players that are being bet in. A lot of loan players as well who are not really being used because obviously they're on loan. They're not going to be like pivotal parts of the team. And they're they're high profile players as well, like Zaza and Torre. They're not crucial to the team, you know.
No, and I think a lot of the players, you were saying there, a lot of players being bedded in. A lot of them are willing. I think your man Byram is in well over his head.
Yeah.
Collins had a bit of a stinker. And I think a bit of the criticism of Zaza, I know Zaza didn't play too well, but to be perfectly honest with you, if you don't have the ball, you can't really do a lot.
Well, that's the thing, you see. What I can't understand is why are we saying that when you have your 2 playmakers working for you, being Payet and Lanzini. Those are the 2 lads that are supplying you with everything. You can't really complain about supply. You just have to be in the right place, which Zaza never was. He always seemed to be like either drifting wide or somewhere.
That is pretty much it. Yeah, I don't think he was ever really.
He was never in the
he was ever really in the correct position. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He was never in the right place, and that's more down to him really than the playmakers. Like you cannot, after seeing the fucking Rabina assist that Payet provided, you cannot say you're not getting the right supply. That's just proof right there. So, yeah. Well,
I think, to be honest with you, if I was a Hammer fan, I'd be pretty. I mean, they're conceding at a rate of about 2 goals a game.
Yeah.
They had a clean sheet. Yeah, they got a clean sheet against Bournemouth.
Yeah, that's the only one they had.
They played for a draw and very nearly got one. But all the goals they conceded were a bit of a horror show, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Which is saying something, considering they were in such a comfortable position themselves. They had
absolutely
after like half an hour they had the game won. Like they were the best team, and just let Watford back in. And with Watford, you give them you obviously if you give them an inch, they're gonna take fucking 4 goals in a mile.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's just the defense now is really, really fucking worrying. You know. It's a bit of a fucking scattered policy with regards to Village. I mean, he was very worried about Byram last season. He barely played him. Mm-hmm. But now it's only him and Arbeloa who barely played for all last year on the right side of the defense.
Yeah, and I don't think Arbeloa was even selected. He wasn't even on the bench.
I don't even think he was.
No.
You know, they sold Tompkins then.
Yeah, which sounded like a good idea at the time.
Did they have Ogbonna? Ogbonna's still there.
Ogbonna's still there, but again, he's not really in the. I think he was on the bench. Actually, I was just looking.
Yeah, he's not getting past Reed or Holland.
No, so he's just 3rd choice straight away.
You know, it's just. I think he really needs to get his players to keep their concentration levels up.
Well, for me, he just needs to find his best 11. And it's obvious that he doesn't know what it is. He doesn't know if he wants Antonio in right midfield or right back, which the correct answer is right fucking midfield. He just scored 2 goals for you. And then you have a choice then of going, okay, do I have a good striker? Do you have Simon Zaza, whose legacy forever no matter what he does in his career, his legacy will always be that terrible fucking penalty in the Euros.
Absolutely. He could get the Ballon d'Or and they'll play that at the fucking ceremony where they present him the award.
Simone, I know this is a great day for you, but seriously, check this shit out again.
It's kind of like that whole from small start people, the large endings or some shit like that.
Yeah.
They're like, look, this cunt went on to win the Ballon d'Or. So could you.
Yeah. Anything is possible with UEFA and FIFA.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So.
But by the end of that game, quite rightly too, Village looked ready to fucking kill.
He always does, though. Even when
he really seriously did this time. Like I would have paid money to have been a fly on the wall.
Well, if you were flying the wall, that you would have got fucking crushed by some sort of flying object.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on then to the evening kickoff of the Saturday games. That was Liverpool versus Leicester, and holy shit, I did not expect this scoreline. I have to say, this is the first home game in the new stadium with a brand new main stand, which looks lovely, by the way. It's a very nice addition.
Indeed.
Yeah, very delighted with how it looks. But I'd be more delighted with the scoreline, which is Liverpool 4, Leicester 1. And I have to say, this is obviously goes without saying, but this has been our best performance all year, and I'm including all of our pre-season and like other competitions in that as well, because just the way we're playing now is like we said it at the Arsenal game as well, but it is a Klopp team that's playing now. But the interchange of play and how everyone was like working together was so fucking impressive. It really, really was. And it also shows how much a team changes when Manning is in it, when he's a driving force, because everyone around them plays better. They play to his strengths and he plays to theirs. And Firmino, just in this game, capitalised on it, having getting 2 goals. But Mane was obviously, for me, was the star of the show anyway, because he got a goal to go with it. But ultimately, he is the spark that Liverpool were missing for a long time.
Oh, absolutely. We mentioned before that Klopp's gone for an intensely physical team, and it was just the relentless pressure just crushed Leicester. They didn't fucking show up for it.
Yeah, and it was more about Leicester just kind of like this isn't the same Leicester that lost only 3 games last season and cruised to the championship. This is the Leicester that are now threatened, and are on the defensive and have to change the way they play. And just straight away the difference between, and it was very obvious in this game because obviously Liverpool were playing that kind of high intensity, high energy forward attack, but you see the difference in the Leicester midfield when Kante is gone. And it's just I
was about to say that,
yeah, the activity is just not there anymore. Like you still had Drinkwater on the pitch. I think it was I want to say Amartey that was in the midfield for Leicester, and he's just not the same. I don't rate Amartey as much as I do other players. I think you're looking at Mendy or someone else to take that role, and you can kind of see with Ranieri he is looking for that person to try and be Kante, and King didn't do it against Hull. Mendy didn't really do it in the 2 games he was on, and now it's Amartey's turn, and he's not really doing it either. He doesn't have the same work rate and effectively presence that Kante did.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this match mainly served to underline what a great player Kante is.
Yeah, and that's
without him, Leicester they're now more of a kick and rush team that are quite inept. They can't actually string a good few passes together to give Mahrez or Vardy much of a chance.
Yeah, that was the main thing for me. Like the 2 lads up front, Vardy and Nakazaki, they looked so stranded. They really did, and it wasn't even for us having a good midfield cover. Like Henderson is playing in a deep role, but he's not an outright defensive midfielder. He's not there to ruin people's days. You know.
No, he's not. He's not that wrecking ball.
No, he's not. And nor is Wijnaldum, who was playing beside him. It was just the fact that the midfield, because obviously it's a 4-4-2. In comparison to other formations you can have, there is more of a gap between striker and midfield. But with that 4-4-2, you're expecting your midfield to make up that distance with their play. So you can have them playing in a more further away from the defence if you want to, or you can have them play back. That's why 4-4-2 has always been used as a formation, because it's so versatile. But you can just see there's that missing kind of runner from midfield that supplies Okazaki and Vardy with something.
Absolutely, I think that's one of the reasons why they bought that Slimani guy.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna go for a kind of target man.
Well, Slimani is a good player. He is like a really prolific player, and I think I'm surprised that Leicester got him in the end, considering that a lot of other teams were looking at him, even in England.
Oh, absolutely.
So
it's just, at least he'll give them that kind of target man rather than just firing the ball in the vague direction of one of their forwards, who, by the way, none of whom are actually tall.
No, they're not. They're all nippy little kind of pacey forwards. So having someone like that,
that's just not good. They're just not going to get ahead. Luke outside of that fucking what the fuck was that moment mix which led to the goal?
Yeah, that was a fuck up. I think Lucas says that himself. He was at they had a formal dinner for opening the newsstand after the match, and Lucas was up as a speaker, and I think someone kind of said remarked about the goal, and Lucas said, "Yeah, I know, it's my first assist in 10 years." and the drummer in the background going, first goal in 10.
Fair play, to be honest with you, he can laugh about it considering the scoreline.
Oh yeah, no, totally. If it ended up being 1-1 or 2-1 to Leicester, he would have been fucking lynched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matip had a solid game as well.
Matip was okay. Yeah, he kind of had to be as well, because he was our only choice defender there, because Lovren just kind of turned up with a fucking eye patch. Sacco was still in the bad books, and Kolo Touré has gone off to live with Harambe. So it's hard for us to actually for all the gusto that we had getting attacking players in. Could have been nice to have another defender, but we have Lucas now apparently, and he seems to be a viable option for Klopp anyway. We have
absolutely,
Claven. Claven is there as well, but he's okay. He's always going to be fourth choice.
What I was about to say as well there is that Klopp has gotten Sturridge playing really well.
Yeah, I think for me this is a very important match for Sturridge and for Henderson. I was kind of looking at how both of them were doing, and Sturridge for me was probably his most selfless that I've seen him play.
Yeah, I think he's starting to understand what Klopp wants from him.
Yeah, exactly, and it's not a hard thing. It's just the fact that with Sturridge, he has to get past the fact that he doesn't have to be the goal scorer all the time, which is fine because he's played in systems before where he is relied on solely to score goals, and he's very good at that. But now, as I said, he has the help now. He has players that can run the space as much as he can, and more so in the case of Lallana and Mane. And yeah, it pays so much dividends. You saw the assist for the Mane goal was exquisite. Just the back heel, brilliant. Yeah, and there were so many good goals in this game. It really was the Mane goal was fantastic. The first Firmino goal, again, another great ball in from Mane. Just again, great vision, just great awareness of where your teammate is.
And great money.
Yeah, absolutely. And then
it was funny actually. I was watching the extended highlights of that game, even though I didn't watch the game, but I still watched it back, and it was hilarious. You can just see in the build-up to the first Liverpool goal, when Milner had the ball, you can just see Ranieri screaming at his defense to mark Firmino.
Yeah, because he could tell where he was gonna go. He was on the prowl.
Absolutely, I
Yeah,
guarantee you, the instant Milner got that ball, Ranieri just knew. When he saw Firmino take off on that angle, he's like, "Ah, oh, fuck."
yeah. And that's kind of the thing as well for Leicester. I know, like I kind of said this when we I think when we had a review of the season, but Morgan and Hoof are still the first choice partnership for Leicester in defence, and they were rock solid last season, of course, because they were one of the best defences, but that was a year ago, and a lot does change for very old defenders like that. They do lose that yard of pace, and once you have lost that, you can't get it back.
I don't think it'd be too much of an issue if they still had Kante, though.
No, of course not. That's the problem.
Or if he rejigged his the formation. I mean, Marseille looks a bit out of his depth.
Yeah, I think that's why Amartey is playing, really. He is kind of going to be there as a defensive shield rather than Drinkwater being there.
Absolutely.
Because he is a defensive midfielder. Like, you can see it. He's like a big, huge fucker. And, like, he's huge. Like, he's 6'3" or 6'4". He's a huge lad.
Yeah, he's not a small guy.
No, he's not. And he's very obviously... He's not going to be Kante, but he's going to be, like, half Kante.
Absolutely.
Maybe.
This is that... It's a combination of both a bad formation and the personnel just can't do it.
Yeah.
The thing is about the 4-4-2, what you were talking about there, is that with 2 forwards, 2 wide men, and 2 central midfielders, you're inviting a shit pressure.
Absolutely, and again, yeah, and it might say more about like Ranieri refused to change from that 4-4-2 when you do have like our system, which is effectively. It's hard to say because we're so fluid. Like you can call it like a 4-2-3-1, I guess. That's probably the close.
Maybe, yeah.
That's the close I can get to it because Henderson is like a deep. Well, actually, no. I guess Henderson is a deep lying player, and Wijnaldum kind of plays near him, but he always moves forward. He doesn't track back, and then you have like your choice then of like Firmino, Lallana, Sturridge, Mane, all interchanging with the front three. It's mind-boggling, to be honest, how it all works. But that's the beauty of the training ground, really, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But yeah,
timer's running out for it.
Yeah, that's it. It's a good result for us. Kind of what we needed, really. And the fact is that we didn't need Coutinho for it either. He was on the bench for the whole game.
Which is always good.
No, he wasn't actually. He came on for Sturridge. My mistake. Just looking at my notes there. Right, 2 games left to talk about then. Let's move on then to Chelsea versus Swansea. This was a game of 2 halves by all means. Chelsea were leading the game by 2-0 initially, and then they decided to go
cruising.
And they were absolutely cruising. Holy shit, they couldn't have been cruising more if they tried, because Swansea. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat this. Swansea are a bad team this season. They've no real fucking drive, and truthfully, Chelsea could have had any choice of goals in that first half. They could have been 3 up, 4 up, whatever you wanted. It ultimately was 2-0. And
absolutely, I mean they could have ran up a cricket score.
Yeah, they could have, and it was just the fact that Swansea were so disorganised, and Fabianski was decent. Like he wasn't Flapianski, as you guys call him, and he was very good, and he kept a level head and only managed to concede 2 goals. And then second half happened, and Chelsea just decided to not bother scoring goals or defending a lead or even having good goalkeeping, as he found out with the Swansea with basically a penalty for Gylfi Sigurdsson, which came from a very, very dumb mistake from the defence. I think it was a bad back pass, I think, to Courtois, wasn't it? That led to it, and then Courtois fouled like Sigurdsson just on the edge of the penalty box, but it still counted.
Well, definitely inside. Yeah.
Yeah, it was marginal, but it definitely counts. And then right after that, then Gary Cahill, showing how good of a player he is, passed directly to Leroy Fer and got the equaliser straight away. And Chelsea just didn't do anything. They just lost kind of like all interest really.
Yeah, pretty much. They got really flustered and their concentration just completely went.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. They just kind of like the focus left, which I think will annoy Conte more than anything else. The fact that it's just like, hang on, it's 50 minutes and you're starting to coast. What the fuck is wrong with you people? You know?
Absolutely. I think I kind of left for a while at 1-0. I was like, oh fuck, because when Costa slot home, I was like, yep, this is going to be a fucking trouncing.
Yeah.
And then a friend of mine then came back to me and said, oh, Chelsea have equalised. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, Chelsea have equalised?
Yeah, exactly. I actually forgot. For some reason, I had in my mind that Chelsea were 2-0 up. No, of course, you're right. They were 2-1 down initially. They had to get the goal back in the end. It was like, fuck, that just goes to show you, like, they only had one goal to show for how good their first half was, and they had a really good first half. They just didn't have the goals to show it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Chelsea were just simply waltzing through that pathetic collection of players that Guidolin has put up.
I just don't get Guidolin anymore. I really don't. Like, I don't. I really don't understand. Like, the lineups are so different every time. Like, Sigurdsson was randomly dropped one week. Fucking, like, the defense just doesn't look right. Like, Kingsley is only a young lad there, and he hasn't playing in defense. He's very obviously meant to be like a midfielder. I don't understand anymore. I really don't. And taking off Neil Taylor so early in the game as well just didn't look right either. Like
he wasn't happy with that.
He was fucking furious, and rightly so. You could, like, if you're any good at lip reading, you can tell, like, he was actually.
Oh, he was asking him why he wasn't taken off at half time. Yeah, in front of everybody.
Yeah, you took me off in front of everybody was his presumably precise words, and wouldn't shake Guidolin's hand. So you can kind of tell all is not well with in the Swansea camp. I think there's a few players that are not quite happy with how Guidolin is handling his business, which is kind of surprising for me as well, considering like he dropped Montero as well for this game, which I found surprising, considering like Montero is one of the more creative players in the Swansea camp. So
he's also one of their pacier players. Yeah. And I think when he brought on Barrow, Barrow's pace really. I think Barrow, they just ran around Terry. The fact. By the way, one of the things this match showed was Terry has literally no fucking pace anymore.
Oh well, that goes without saying. I think everybody knew that, really.
Yeah, but obviously he was never the quickest fucker on the planet.
Unless you go for someone's wife.
Pretty much, yeah. Unless somebody's wife is left unattended.
Yeah, buddy.
But yeah, the thing was that he puts on Barrow. Barrow's pace helped them cut Chelsea apart.
Yeah.
I was like, why didn't he just start Montero? Montero's actually quicker and more skillful.
And is more skillful. Yeah, like Barrow is purely like, and again, this is the weird thing about Swansea. Like they don't appreciate actual strikers. You know, they sold literally all the strikers they had, and they're now trying to transform Barrow, who is like I don't even know he's a winger. He's just a runner. He's an athletic runner, and they're turning him into a striker. Yeah, exactly. And you're gonna put him. Have him ahead of the pecking order than Jefferson Montero, a Mexican international who scores more goals and creates more chances statistically than Barrow does. That goes against logic. That's like, there is no comparison there. Montero is a better player than Barrow. Why aren't you playing him? Likewise, why did you just randomly drop Sigurdsson from one match and never play him? You know, these are not logical decisions.
Not even that. Even when he does come up with excuses for what he does, they don't ever make any sense. Like, his excuse for subbing off Taylor was because he had to change something.
Yeah, he started off with like a new formation, which when you're
Yeah.
coming up against a top.
Somebody mentioned to me they couldn't remember when Swansea last played with a back five.
But why would you play Swansea with a back five? They've never played with a back five. They've always been a back four. Because fucking Ashley Williams is gone now, he decided he can reinvent the wheel. Get the fucking boat, mate. Like that's not gonna work. Absolutely not. I'm surprised. I'm actually generally surprised that like the whole Swansea team just didn't go. Have you just lost your complete fucking mind, Mr. Guida, sir?
Do you know what you're fucking doing it for?
Yeah. Do you know where you are? Have you lost your bus pass? Do you want to go find your minder? It was ludicrous. And yet here we are talking. They were so close to getting the lead as well, and it's purely because fucking Chelsea let them. So.
Oh yeah, I'm like total profligacy. I'm like, I was looking up the stats. Now I'm not a big fan of stats, but fucking hell, like, 28 shots.
Yeah.
50 touches in the opposition box, and 11 corners.
Yeah. They were all over Swansea, and that's in both in the first and second half, and it inexplicably couldn't put away.
So yeah, and also this game is also another fantastic show that referees are still too scared to send off Diego Costa.
I don't understand why. Like when he goes onto the pitch, you should automatically send him off just for how ugly he is.
It's just like he must have some serious dirt on referees. Like
I don't. Do you know what? I think it's because maybe it's just this is proof that football is fake, and like Diego Costa is just the pantomime villain that always gets away with it. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's an indication of how it is.
Like he's the ultimate heel.
He is exactly it. He is the ultimate heel. He is the best bad guy in professional wrestling. He's not even fucking trying. Like, how is it? Like, it's bad when you're Diego Costa, when you are hated by both your native homeland, Brazil, and you're hated by your adopted country, Spain, because you didn't want to play for over Brazil. Like, you didn't want to play for Brazil because you wanted to play for a better club in Spain. And Spanish people don't like you because you're not actually Spanish, and Brazilian people don't like you anymore because you betrayed your country. Who the fuck likes you anymore, Costa? Does anybody like you anymore? Oh god. No. But good thing about this match though, John Terry picked up an injury, which means that David Luiz has to play against us on Friday night, which I am so fucking looking forward to. It's gonna be
seriously. If you were one of the Liverpool or any of the league's faster centre forward, is there any fucking defender you'd rather play again than David fucking Luiz?
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah,
Definitely Moreno.
No, I was about fucking Neil. I was about to say that the duel between Moreno and Luiz would be like your man fucking Dougal and the other fella from Father Ted fighting over the corner flag.
Fucking hell.
Like the rest of the match is going on properly, but the other two are just like in the corner playing with their little cars, and the whole match is just going mad across the opposite way, with like goals from left, right, and center because like two defenders are fucking missing, playing marbles or some shit, trading Pokemon cards or something that other fucking man children would do. I still can't get over the fact that out of the list of defenders Chelsea headhunted, David Luiz was third on their list.
How? Why? Why would he be so high up?
I don't know. There must have been other players that said no to them that were much higher on the list.
Ridiculous. Shit.
Yeah, and again, it also kind of tells us that like the manager is still not really in charge of the transfers in at Chelsea, because Conte would never in a million years go for someone as inconsistent as Luiz. So then when he walks into training then the day after deadline day, sees that David Luiz is there, taking a selfie or doing something more ignoramus, he'd go, right, I've got a lot of work to do.
Absolutely. He must have thought, wow, Abramovich really goes in for fucking jokes, doesn't he? He really commits
Yeah.
to a prank, doesn't he?
Yeah, Abramovich takes commitment to comedy so much that he's willing to pay £30 million for one. Because that's what you are, David Luiz, a fucking joke.
Absolutely.
Anyway, but enough raging about David Luiz. That's for next week after the match. Last game to talk about then is the David Moyes testimonial. Sunderland versus Everton. And how appropriate is it that on the weekend David Moyes says that if he had one world-class striker, he would have won the league with Everton. And it was Romelu Lukaku who scored a hat-trick against David Moyes.
In 11 minutes.
Yeah. Like, it is almost as if David Moyes is in his own fucking sitcom and was written to be, like, in this hideous situation where he has to eat his own words with fucking Worcester sauce.
It's just...
It was glorious. It really was. It was just like, you could not have made it better yourself. Moyes had given out stink that he didn't have, like, strikers at Everton. They have one now, and he's just whooped your fucking arse. In 11 minutes as well. 11-minute hat-trick for Lukaku. Fantastic.
Pretty much. I mean, people were always pointing out that it was 4 months ago that Sunderland beat Everton 3-0.
Yeah. How it's all changed.
Kept them up, actually, yeah.
Well, let's talk about Everton then, because they are now currently sitting third in the league. Obviously, it's still early doors, but 3 wins and 1 draw is a pretty good fucking start for Everton, all things considered.
Oh, it's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to go down to Ronald Koeman. Like, the side looks so reinvigorated now. Like, they look like they have a purpose, and just certain players are standing up now and taking account.
Yeah, with regards to standing up, Delafeu seems to have gotten rid of diving.
Well, yeah, we see
out of his game.
Well, you see again the stiff breeze that was at Arsenal wasn't there at Sunderland, so you have to take that into account as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very it's a very hard, like, footballers and breezes don't go together. Okay, like, that's a very important thing to deal with.
Very much so.
Yeah, especially when you have such a low center of gravity that Delafeu has. So low, in fact, that it makes you fall over whenever someone, sneezes on you. But I guess for me, like, just looking, because I watched how Everton played on Monday night, and you can tell how much happier that team is when Idrissa Gueye is in it.
Oh, he's so fucking good.
Yeah, and it's remarkable considering he was in a terrible, dire Aston Villa side. But you can tell, like, when he's in with a team that knows what they're doing, he has one job and does it really well, and that is to be the defensive shield.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think a lot has been... I think the rise of Kante has given a lot of focus now to that kind of midfield wrecking ball.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would argue that, like, yeah, it was always kind of there, but because Kante was able to do both wrecking ball and the runner, that's when people are going, ooh, I wonder if we can find more players like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I think one of your favorite players, Fernandinho, is like the ideal midfield wrecking ball. Like,
fantastic.
By the way, guys, I'm not even joking about that. By the way, every time I mention Fernandinho, I think Neil orgasms a little bit. It's just like, for instance, Fernandinho.
Nice.
It's
just he's really good, and yeah, he's that kind of selfless breaker up of play, and he does it so fucking well.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, you were saying that there's a guy, he fucking really did it well.
Yeah, it's the main issue with Everton for the last year or two under Martinez was that the defence was as leaky as, a fucking colander, quite frankly. And they've now shorted up with 2 really, really shrewd signings of Williams and Gay, and they just don't have that problem anymore. They really don't. I mean, the main problem really is like goalkeeping, and that was one thing I thought they'd address over the summer. But I guess they're happy with Stecklenburg. I guess if
Well,
you
Stecklenburg, he was pretty good.
yeah, like he is a type of goalkeeper that Coleman likes, and it's just like a clever, like very experienced goal Dutchman. Like he is somebody I think he's more for his like experience than anything else. But when you do have them like a defense to cover for him, then that's okay. You can get away with that.
Yeah, pretty much. It also helped that Sunderland weren't exactly at the races today.
No, they weren't, and nor would they ever be at the races until about I don't know March.
Well, to be honest with you, I'm not really certain about that. I mean, their new signing, Papi Georgie.
Boji, yeah.
It was just, oh man, he had a fucking atrocious game.
Really,
He was so fucking bad. I mean, especially for the second and third goals. He seemed to have absolutely no idea where Lukaku was.
No. But then again,
sorry, now that I mentioned that third goal, the third goal came from him rushing out with a complete fucking tool. And, trying to outmuscle Lukaku.
Which is always
he just got torn.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to make of this Sunderland team, to be honest. It looks it's an odd mix, really. I know
unfortunately, neither does David Moyes.
That's the thing. Like, he's just kind of seemed to have like picked a lucky bag because, okay, give him credit. He's trying to like introduce new players into the side. Like the two young players he's trying to blood in is obviously Watmore, who had time under Big Sam and Advocat. But the other fella now is a young American chap called Lyndon Gooch, who has a surname that'll make the ladies weep. And but he's not really doing anything, and it's all very valiant trying to get like the new blood in, but there's plenty of time to get new blood in when you're in the championship relegated. But when you need to get those like crucial players on, like Kazri was only a sub in this game. Same thing was
ridiculous.
Yeah, Denier was also a sub. You didn't want to have Denier on instead of Dilly Boji. And the bench ultimately is terrible. Like it's one of the weakest benches I've seen for a Premier League side in a long time. Like you have like Paddy McNair and Donald Love is on that bench. Are those players that's going to come on and change the game? Denier is another defender. There's 4 defenders on that bench.
Fucking hell.
Like I'm listing them now: John O'Shea, Paddy McNair, Donald Love, and Jason Denier. That's 4 potential defenders. And
is Georgie the one keeping O'Shea out of the team?
It seems that way. And that's including like the other, again, Denier, who's a loan signing, and McNair and Love, right? That's how many? That's like 7 defenders now. If I'm going, my numbers are correct. And then you have And then you have Indong, which is like who's a defensive midfielder, so he's another defensive signing, and the other guy, Kazri, is your one offensive player on the bench. Oh, and let's of course forget the second goal, the new signing for Sunderland, Mika, who signed on Thursday.
Absolutely. I don't know, it seems like Moyes has gone through some kind of football PTSD after his time at United.
Yeah, and has obviously like kept getting like flashbacks.
Yeah, he must be like bizarre public fucking speakings, resigning ex-players, trying and failing to sign ex-players, and still talking about that time he was at Everton.
And just kind
he's shot. His mind is gone. He's shot.
And he has that kind of like far away look in his eyes as well. Like he is still tormented by the voices.
He's still in the war zone.
Yeah. The war zone, and every soldier looks like Fellaini.
Yeah, it's funny. He's suddenly, it's hilarious how he so fast he went to being an old-fashioned throwback of a manager,
Yeah, his
outdated and really out of touch. I was like, what?
like I can't remember another manager whose stock has fallen so quickly over the space of like 3 or 4 years. David Moyes is one of them where he was like, oh wow, he's actually turned his Everton side into something really good, and then like everything he's touched since has been terrible. I guess Steve McLaren, you might argue, is that because he did a stellar job with Middlesbrough, and then went to be the England coach and completely balls that up, and has been terrible ever since.
Absolutely, you know.
That's the best like example I can find of that.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It seems a little harsh to blame Moyes for being Moyes.
Yeah, like you can't blame like you wouldn't blame a puppy for pissing on the carpet, would you? Like that's what puppies are going to do. You have to train it to not do that.
Absolutely, and the funny thing is that like he was actually quite a lucky guy. He had 11 seasons at Everton
Yeah,
where he never won a trophy.
yeah,
He then got himself fucking the Manchester United job because he was Fergie's mate.
yeah. He
Uh,
was the chosen one.
yeah, he was the chosen one. He then single-handedly destroyed the footballing side of the club.
Yep.
He got sacked, went to Real Sociedad, quite a respectable La Liga team.
And turned them into a Moisey side, and people really didn't like that.
Yeah, he got sacked.
Mm-hmm.
Just why did Sunderland even pick him?
Yeah, because again, I think they were like panicking, to be honest, because like Big Sam just went, "Oh, England's calling. I'll get more gravy," and then they just said, "Oh, we need to find somebody who's the first person on speed dial." Like
Davy Myers.
David, yeah, and who else would go for Sunderland? Quite frankly, who else would have the self-respect to take that Sunderland job?
Getting a younger manager with fucking ideas then.
Yeah, but when the team is Sunderland, the money isn't there. The players are really not going to be going for a club with the reputation of Sunderland. You have to go with what you're like best for, and like for me, Moisey is still the best suit for that Sunderland side, even though Sunderland don't want to accept that. Nor does Moisey, I don't think. He was intent to turn fucking. He's intent on turning the Sunderland into like an alumni of like youth academy players from United. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I know, it's weird. It's what made like about 10 signings and the team's actually gotten worse.
Yeah, like they're not. There are no improvements in that side. Absolutely, they're all just squad players. They're all just depth. They're not players that are gonna be like, oh, we need like some competition for Jermaine Defoe. Shall we sign a striker? No. Let's just sign Victor Anichebe on a free transfer and not play him or select him on the bench. Do we need some shoring up in the defence in case Lamine Kone leaves for Everton? No, let's just sign 4 average defenders and that'll make up the numbers.
Yeah, they all add up to one. You can combine them with polymerization, can't you?
Yeah, that was the idea. Like they bought McNair and Love together, so in the hope that they would congeal into one super defender. But it hasn't turned out well yet.
Yeah, so Moyes, definitely another sack race contender.
I think he's always going to be a sack race contender. Just any job he's going to be in. Like him and McLaren, they're the two managers, and Pardew, I guess, who are destined to be sacked at anything they do. Even if they don't go into football management anymore, if they become like like CEOs of companies, they'll still get sacked. If they're like self-employed, they'll still get sacked. That's just
Yeah, exactly. All their fucking staff will band together and oust them.
I hired all of you people. Yes, I know, but this is a mutiny. We're tired of your
Totally.
We're tired of your shit, Steve.
But yeah, just Sunderland they're going backwards.
Oh yeah, they are certainly doing that. But hey, Everton have improved at least. That's a start. It means you have to take them seriously this season,
Yeah, we do actually. I mean, to
and
be honest,
and
they've
and
got.
take themselves seriously. That's the most important part. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge to come and is getting Everton out of that constant Everton mindset.
Yeah. Do enough, and then that's it. Be be with
Uh,
the hang around with the big boys rather than be one of them.
Well, see, they have a nasty tendency to kind of like get to a good high league position and then just switch off totally.
Yeah. They stay pace and don't like push themselves further. But they've been like,
Yeah,
I'll give them credit. Like they managed to hang on to Lukaku and Barkley. They've got Balassi now, who adds another like layer of offense to it. There's no reason why they can't challenge, really. Their only major loss was like Stones, and truthfully, you've improved that by getting Williams. So the team is ultimately better than it was last season by a long
oh,
shot.
it's definitely.
Yeah,
And to be honest with you, I think the best signing from getting rid of Stones was actually stealing Idrissa Gueye from Villa.
yeah, because that was he was replacing a player that ultimately wasn't there for Everton, which was an out and out defensive shield. And no, James
Yeah.
McCarthy doesn't count because he's a lazy shit.
Does he ever count?
No, no, he doesn't, and he shouldn't count really internationally. Yeah, that.
To be honest with you, I'd say the only one kind of bad point was that Barkley had a fucking awful game.
He did. He was subbed at half time, wasn't he?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
even Coleman actually, fair play to him now. It's rare to see a manager this blunt about it, but he actually did say, look, he's a young player, he's shit hot, he really needs to step it up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not just going to leave him on the pitch simply because he's Ross Barkley.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the best attitude to have. And for me, Coleman has done the best thing for a lot of players in that Everton squad because there is a lot of shit in that squad. Like a lot of shit
crap,
that people have tried to intentionally forget. Cough Aiden McGeady. Cough Darren Gibson. Cough fucking Niasse, who's their record signing and hasn't done anything
Literally
since he's
nothing.
gone. And he wasn't even in the first 11, not even on the bench, not even worthy of being on the bench. So that goes to show you that like Coleman is going to be ruthless, but it is for Everton's greater good.
And he's made some fantastic fucking signings. I mean,
Yeah.
like, I just can't wait to see what Balassi does for them. I think he's brilliant at match. But then again, to be honest with you, most pub teams would have looked really good against a Sunderland team that fucking awful.
Yeah,
But
it's
was
not
really
hard.
good. And well, sure, what we know, we all know what Balassi is. He's pace.
Yeah, but truthfully, it's something that Everton haven't really had because their pace guy has always been Morales, and that's it. He hasn't had
Yeah.
like a friend up there to help him. But now you have that kind of like you can now have that interchange or that interplay between Balassi and Morales. You have that option now to go from two sides, and truthfully, that's only going to help Lukaku because they can whip balls in or they can run inside and supply him that way. Like it seemed
Absolutely,
like a no-brainer. It really did.
And with Balassi, they got like a truly really good left winger.
Yeah,
They
exactly. And
have
it's someone they
somebody who
never
can
had.
dazzle on the left.
Yeah, it's someone they hadn't had really, and Aaron Lennon doesn't really count. Again, does he?
Does he
Again,
ever count?
No, he doesn't. Again, that's the fucking problem with Everton. Like they have players that don't properly count.
No.
But yeah, there we go. That's pretty much our roundup then on the on everything Premier League wise for this week. It was a decent enough week for football all the same.
No, actually, to be honest with you, like you said, there was really, really, really good games and really, 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 really shit ones.
Yes, and we can wax lyrical about the good ones all day, but really, people just want to listen to our opinions about bad football clubs. That's what we're popular for, I think. That's what people tune in for. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up everything that we want to talk about tonight. So we'll be back, I suppose, next week then for more matches to talk about, namely stuff like Chelsea and Liverpool. That seems important, I guess.
That might be a bit of a tasty game.
Yeah, that might do the trick. Yeah. Maybe a bit of Man City Bournemouth possibly. Bit of Spurs Sunderland. If that tickles your fancy. United Leicester
Jesus
maybe.
Christ, if Sunderland play anything like they did the other day, that's going to be a fucking massacre.
I know. I'm gonna bring the popcorn and everything.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So
I've got to put money on like Spurs winning by like 4 goals.
You heard it here, folks. You've heard it here. Neil's actually going to bet money on Spurs doing something that isn't losing badly. That says so much about how bad Sunderland are when it's making you bet on Spurs. That's against law and nature. That shouldn't happen.
Oh, the Chelsea Liverpool. That's the Friday night football, isn't it?
It is the Friday night football.
Ooh.
Yes, we'll all have to sit down and look for that as well.
Indeed.
We'll have Thierry Henry on his very sultry couch that they have in that very strange studio. It's too open and there's too many people sitting down.
Too many people.
They're man-spreading and they're all kind of perfect on Rachel Riley. So it's like, lads, Jesus, get fucking wanked.
Well, you would.
Well, you would, but lads, get it out of your system before you go on air. All right, it's getting uncomfortable here.
We have Hull though, I think.
You do? Hull, Arsenal, Leicester, Burnley, Man City, Bournemouth, West Brom, West Ham, which is the West Derby, I guess. No, doesn't work. Everton.
We're so desperate for derbies now, aren't we?
The Everton Middlesbrough Derby. Watford United. No, I got that for that.
Derby.
Yeah, Crystal Palace Stoke, the Tony Pulis Derby. Got that one straight away. Southampton Swansea, the S Derby. Yeah, got it right there.
Fucking hell.
Tottenham Sunderland. Shit, got nothing. And that's it. Those are the games that we will be looking forward to next week.
Isn't it the week after next? That's when the League Cup kicks off, isn't it?
In the middle of the week, yeah.
Yeah, you have Derby, don't you?
We do. We have to face Nidge.
Ooh.
Which I'm thoroughly looking forward to, because Nidge versus.
We have Nottingham Forest.
We do.
Tooling up with the greatest striker who ever lived.
Yeah. I love it. Why is it now the championship clubs are just signing the worst types of strikers?
Really are.
They're
Although,
so
to be honest with
desperate.
you, the one league game I'm really looking forward to is going to be Leicester Chelsea.
Yeah, actually, that's going to be a good game. Which is funny considering that Leicester probably won't give a shit about the League Cup, and nor will Chelsea really. So it's going to be like a battle. It's a battle of apathy, really. Who's going to care less the most? if that makes sense. But I'm actually looking forward to Nidge versus Klopp, because it's a feud that we never had before, and we probably will never have again.
We won't.
How do you go for
Nidge
someone?
swears at the Klopp, and Klopp just dislocates his jaw and eats them all.
I don't think you could do that. Nidge is too salty. He's too salty.
He's quite a salty man.
Yeah, he's too salty to be consumed, and he's still. I always feel like when I watch Nigel Pearson, he always kind of has that Henry Sellers feel from Father Ted. He'll swig down a bit of wine and he'll just go kind of mad at Leicester. It's just like, how dare they do this to me, sacking me over my son? I made at Leicester City, and then chuck himself outside.
Then he jumped through a window, and everybody's like, where the fuck did you find a window to jump through? Someone just bring that in.
That's exactly how I described Nidge.
He's had a window installed on one of the walls of the Derby dugout, and he can just dive through that whenever he wants.
Yeah. This is official now. You can.
This is now the thing.
This is now a thing. This is in our Nigel Pearson headcanon. If you go down to Derby right now, you'll see him putting up a stunt window for this exact reason that he gets drunk. Oh dear. So anyway, that's been us then. So look forward to that next week, and look forward to whatever other extra shit we have to talk about. Presumably League Cup and Champions League and all of those things that we'll probably mention if we have time. So with that being said, this is Jonathan. That's been Neil, and this has been the Football Podcast. So we'll see you probably next week.
Yeah.
More than that.